Hey everyone, CT Grommer again. Hope everyone is doing well. I know I am, because I've just gotten this new Grom. She's a 2018 bone stock with 4,100 miles. Shout out to Charlie here in Fresno, California, who made me an offer I just couldn't refuse. This is my third purchase of a used Grom, so I've now developed a little routine of what I do right after I buy a used Grom, and thought, why not bring you guys along with me? To me, this is no-brainer stuff to ensure your Grom has the longest life possible, because the bottom line is you don't really know what the previous owner did or didn't do with the bike before you. As the miles go up, the greater the potential risk. Luckily, these Grom engines are extremely durable and resilient as long as you keep them full of fresh oil. All the procedures I'm about to show you are based on the assumption that the previous owner hopefully changed the oil a couple of times, but nothing more. I make this assumption because I know that people are generally lazy, and the type of person that buys a Grom may not be the most maintenance conscious owner in the book. Not to mention, you don't want to know what your local Honda shop would charge you to do all of this work. So follow along while I take you through my standard procedure for a used Grom. These procedures are not as hard as you think. Just watch. The things you need are pictured here. A new right engine cover gasket, clutch side, just in case, a set of feeler gauges, a basic set of tools including sockets, some sort of container for used oil, a quart of Rotella T6, a torque wrench, kerosene, wax chain lube, plastic bristle brush to clean the chain, and a new crush washer for oil drain plug is optional. Number 1. Wash bike. The first thing I do is wash and detail the bike. This bike was pretty dirty, so I used some car wash soap and sprayed on some soapy water to soak over the whole bike, avoiding the seat as much as possible. Then pressure washed it off, again staying clear of the seat and anything under the seat, wheel bearings, and wiring connection areas such as the controls on the handlebars and cluster. I even detailed the rims. Pro tip: sticky, tacky, nasty chain lube stuck on rear rim comes off easy with a little kerosene added to your rag. Once done, I always use a blower to hit every nook and cranny to help dry the bike and avoid pooling water in areas you can't see. Good as new! 2. Clean, lube, and adjust chain. A basic but extremely overlooked procedure, chain cleaning is important to maximize the life of your sprockets and chain, which can be a very long life with the Grom, since there's only about 8 horsepower stock. Let's clean it first. Pop that chain cover off and either put your bike on a stand or on 2 ammo cans, which is what I do. Put something underneath the whole chain area because it's about to get grungy. Not Korn or Nirvana grungy. Way worse. Let's talk cleaning solution for a second. I'm going to save you some time and money right now. Take my word for it, there is no cheaper and more effective chain cleaner than kerosene. Go buy yourself a universal spray bottle and some kerosene from the hardware store. Now you have chain cleaner for life for $10. Way to go, I'm proud of you. Bike in neutral, hand turn the rear tire and just start spraying the inside of the chain. I mean, spray it liberally. Now let it soak for 3 or 4 minutes. Get you a toothbrush or a sick 3-side scrubber like this and scrub all 4 sides of the chain. Then give it another rinse with kerosene. You will be absolutely amazed how much gunk just came off the chain. A really good Grommer would now clean the sprockets, but I'm not one. Wipe the chain dry now with some paper towels or a shop rag, and it's time to re-lube the chain. I really like wax-style lubes, such as Motul, pictured here, because they don't fling the lube everywhere, especially all over the rear rim. If you're really anal, ride the bike around for a bit to warm up the chain. Otherwise, just spray the lube right on the inside of the chain and wipe off excess and let it sit for a while to set up. I like to use this time to check chain slack. If your chain is a little loose or the axle is misaligned, loosen your axle and adjust the screws on either side of the swing arm to tighten and align the chain. Use the alignment marks in the little cutout window on each side of the swing arm to make sure you're aligned properly. Some people use some sort of precise tool like a micrometer to do this, but it's a Grom. Eyeball it and call it good. Leave a little bit of slack so that the chain is tight when you are sitting on the bike. Then retighten the locking nuts on the chain adjusters and retighten the axle to 44 foot-pounds. 3. Change oil and check screen. Now we're getting into the engine, so I'd like to give the disclaimer that I am not a mechanic and won't be going into a detailed step-by-step here. This is just an overview of what I do. There is plenty of good content here on YouTube showing these procedures in great detail. How do you think I learned? Since there's only 4,000 miles on the bike, I'm going to check the oil screen because I'm assuming it's never been done. Cleaning the spinner is more involved and does not need to be done until 7,500 miles per Honda. To start, I like to warm the bike up for 5 minutes so the oil flows out faster, but is not nuclear hot yet either. Use a 17mm socket to drop your oil drain plug. It's the one facing straight down, not the one angled slightly forward. Always have an oil receptacle ready when you undo the bolt, and try to hang on to the bolt so you don't drop it into the oil receptacle. The oil came out dark brown, not black, which is a small relief. Replace the drain plug now with a new washer. If you don't have a new one, just flip the other one over and use it again. Should be fine. Torque the drain plug to 18 foot-pounds of torque. Do not over-tighten the drain plug. Let's remove the right rear set so it's out of the way to gain access to the clutch cover. A 19mm and 12mm sockets will take care of these 3 bolts so you can swing the rear set out of the way, held on only by the rear brake line. Use an 8mm socket to loosen the 9 bolts holding the clutch cover on. They're all the same size, so no sequence is necessary. Once those are removed, take a rubber mallet and lightly 360 tap the whole cover to help loosen it up. At this point, use a friend to tip the bike on its left side, or just lay the bike down completely if you don't care, to avoid spilling oil out of the case when the clutch cover is removed. Using the oil fill hole as a gripping point for your finger, lightly tug and persuade the clutch cover off. Remember to have something to catch the oil if the bike is upright when you pull the cover. As the cover comes off, be mindful of the gasket. We want the gasket to be completely stuck to the clutch cover or the case, not a little of both. Most gasket rips happen because a portion of it gets stuck to one surface while the rest is stuck to another. Just go slow and watch what's happening. Oftentimes, if you're careful, the gasket will come out intact. Sometimes we are unlucky. Once the case is off, the spinner and the clutch basket are exposed. Do a visual check of the bottom of the case with a flashlight. Anything down there that's not supposed to be? Now grab the screen and check it out. Ours has some metal shavings on it. I'm glad we checked it. Get it cleaned up and dried, then put it back in. The screen only goes in one way, so fiddle with it like I did until it goes in with no resistance. Now slap that case back on carefully, and don't forget about the clutch guide and the 2 wire guides that are fastened with the clutch bolts. Hand thread all the clutch cover bolts down to hand tight, then cross tighten them a little tighter with your sockets. Then give them all one last snug up. Right when you start to feel a sharp increase in resistance, stop. That's perfect. If you're a person that likes torque specs, set these nuts to 8 foot-pounds. Now slap the rear set back on and fill the bike up with a little over a quart of Rotella T6 and take a beverage break. 4. Check and adjust valves. Congratulations, you've done the hardest part doing the oil stuff. Now it's time for the second hardest part. Go find or borrow a buddy's 10mm Allen to open the access to the crank nut, which we will use to spin the engine counterclockwise to find top dead center on compression stroke. If you don't have a buddy with a 10mm Allen and you don't feel like buying one from Harbor Freight, open the cam sprocket cover and use the cam sprocket nut to turn the engine counterclockwise. Now open the peephole to the right of the cam cover. Pop the valve covers. Watch out, there may be some oil in the exhaust cover, so have a rag ready below it. Turn the crank nut, which is 17mm, counterclockwise, looking into the peephole until you see a T. The T will come up twice in the 4-stroke cycle, once with the exhaust valve open, and once with both valves closed, which is the compression stroke. That's what we want. You can identify compression stroke because the crank will want to pivot off of the T because of the built-up compression on the engine. And both rockers will be a little loose to the touch. You can actually rattle them a little with your fingers. The other top dead center will be easier to keep the T in place with your socket wrench, and the exhaust valve on the bottom will be engaged, so the rocker will be hard, immovable. For more information on how to find top dead center on compression stroke, search the internet. There are many good sources. Once you have top dead center on compression stroke, get out your feeler gauges to these specs. No filler gauges? Pick up some from Harbor Freight for under $10. Anything inside of these tolerances is money. There's a bit of a technique to actually getting the feeler gauges into the right spot. Start with the thinnest tolerance, 0.001 inches, and make the strip into a U shape using both hands, and slide the edge down right underneath the adjustment pin, pictured here. Slide it back and forth. The ideal setting is significant resistance as you slide back and forth, not binding resistance, but not just ice skating through either. Keep moving up the sizes on the feeler gauges until you feel the perfect resistance. If you're inside the stated tolerances, you're great. If you're too tight or too loose on one of them, set it to either 0.004 or 0.003 inches. It's right in the middle of both the intake and exhaust tolerances. Do this by loosening the 9mm locking nut a bit to give yourself some room to work, and using some needle nose pliers, either loosen or tighten the valve adjustment screw, which has a small square on the top. Do about 1/8 of a turn at a time, then recheck. Once you're in spec, retighten the locking nut while holding the actual adjuster in place with some pliers. Recheck again after locking nut is tight. Slap all the covers back on, and you're done with the valves. Number 5, don't forget that tire pressure. Tire pressure greatly affects the top speed and handling on a Grom, so check it and set the stock tires to 30 psi for regular riding.
What's up, guys? CT Gromer here, finally out on the bike doing the final thing, which is to ride it around and have fun. I'm also going to go get some fuel and top it off, get some fresh fuel in this bad boy so it'll run even better. I suspect this fuel is a little bit old just by the way it's running. Guys, I really hope you learned something. I'm now riding this bike guilt-free, knowing that the valves are in spec, knowing that it's got fresh oil, knowing that the screen is clean, that the tires are at the correct pressure, that the chain is properly adjusted and lubed and cleaned. It just makes you feel better about riding a nice, fresh Grom with a fresh start. I love it. And you guys could be doing the same thing too. With a little bit of wherewithal, it's a little tedious, guys, I know, but with a little bit of wherewithal, I know that you guys can get in here and work on this bike and get this all done yourselves too. And I really hope these videos have encouraged you to just seize the day and go out and give it a try. I mean, what's the worst thing that can go wrong? I'll tell you what the real worst thing is taking it in to do all the services that I performed at your local Honda shop or at your local mechanic. You're gonna be paying a lot of money. I mean, I'll bet you in some cases $300, $400, $500, and you can do it all for the price of the parts. So to me, it's a no-brainer. If you're half mechanically inclined, just maybe a little bit lazy, hey, take a Saturday afternoon and get in here and do it. I really hope these videos have encouraged you, and I really hope that you learned something. Get in here and do it. You're gonna feel so much better about riding the bike around knowing that you took care of the bike. You took care of the bike, you saved the money, you're gonna feel empowered, you're gonna enjoy riding the bike that much more. It's gonna feel good, guys, so go and do it. Oh, I love this bike. It feels so good to ride an SF. Guys, it's crazy, the seat's different, and I love having the quiet exhaust, I'm not gonna lie. I really like having the quiet exhaust. Oh, guys, the last thing, check it out. I've got a problem here. I got a tiger by the tail with this red Grom. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. For a variety of reasons, I can't keep 2 Groms, though probably the biggest reason being that I don't have the garage space. So, do I keep this Grom a little longer, do a couple videos and sell it? Or do I sell my old black Grom? What do? Do I pull all the parts off the black Grom, stick them on this Grom and keep this one? I don't know. Leave me a comment below. I am all ears. Let me know what I should do. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. And as usual, guys, remember, please smack that like button if you like this video. If you don't, just come back from time to time and see what's going on over at CT Gromer YouTube, okay? If you love the video, please subscribe. Subscribing to me and my content keeps me encouraged, keeps me pumped about the channel, keeps me pumping out good content, keeps me going the extra mile when I'm making these videos to make sure that you guys are entertained and make sure that you guys are having the best time possible watching my videos. I thank you so much for watching and commenting. And as usual, please leave a comment below. I always respond, even if it's a bad one. Guys, I hope everybody's having a great day. Get on your bikes and ride them around after you do all your own maintenance. Hopefully this video has helped you to do that. Get it all done, get on the bike, have fun, be safe, love you. CT Gromer, out.